All right, so today we are going to be talking about division. So what is division? Division is splitting into equal parts or groups. So how many groups can you make out of a specific number? So looking at the three examples that we have here, how many groups of 4 can you make out of 25? That's the idea and the concept behind division. So with that, typically you'll see a division problem written one of 3 ways. You have the first method right here, which is 25 divided by 4. And then you have the second method, again, 25 divided by 4. And then you have the third method, which is 25 divided by 4. All 3 of these say the exact same thing. They are all equal to each other. You might just see them written in different ways. I personally like this middle one because it allows me to see what's going on in the actual division problem. And I will show you what I mean by that when we actually go through the 2 examples that I have for you. So before we get started, there are a couple rules, basic rules that I'd like to go over just in case you ever run into them. And the rules are any number that's divided by 1 is that number. So for example, if you have 35 divided by 1, it's going to equal 35. That's just what it is. So anything divided by 1 is going to be the number that's on the top. On top is called the numerator, and the bottom number is called the denominator. So if you ever hear me say that, well, you'll understand that the top number is called the numerator. The numerator divided by 1 will always equal the numerator. The second rule that I'd like to go over are numbers that are divided by 0. So any number that is divided by 0 is considered undefined. If you type it into your calculator, you're going to get an error message, not applicable message. You'll get a fault. And the reason why is because there's no real number that if divided by 0 is going to give you a number. So therefore it's considered undefined. If you ever have a problem, 3 divided by 0, you can put undefined. 4 divided by 0, undefined, and so forth. So now that we have the rules and the understanding of what division is, I would like to go into the methodology. Like I said earlier, I like to use this method located here because it allows me to see what I'm actually doing. And the method that we're going to do is reading from left to right. And so when looking at this problem, we have 25 divided by 4. We are going to look at the 2 first, and once we've completed all of the steps necessary with the 2, then we're going to go to the 5. If this was a 6-digit number, you would keep going from left to right until you've completed all the digits. And then there's a simple note that I just want to make sure, because over these examples, we're going to give a remainder answer and we're going to give an exact answer. And so with an exact answer, you may need to add in additional decimal places so you can see easily what the number is going to be. And so I just wanted to make a note to say, hey, 25 is equal to 25.0 or 25.000 or an infinite amount of zeros, because 0 doesn't have a value, and therefore you can add as many zeros to the back end of 25 after the decimal as you want, and it does not change it. So I just wanted to show you guys that so when we go into our example, it will make sense. So with that, let's get into our first example. And we are going to use the problem that I just had on the first page, which is 25 divided by 4. Again, we're going to go from left to right. And so with that, we are going to start with the 2. So the question you have to ask yourself is, how many times does 4 go into 2? And the answer is 0. And the reason why is because 4 is greater than 2. Therefore, there is nothing we can do. With that, we can put a 0 over top of the 2 placement because that's what we're looking at. Next, you're going to do multiplication, and I will link a video in the description to describe how to do multiplication. If you need a refresher on that, you can check out that video. From there, though, you would do 0 times 4, which is going to give you 0. Again, we're working with the 2, and therefore we're positioning everything under the 2. Okay, so after you do 4 times 0, that's going to be 0. And then what you want to do is subtraction. So you're going to do 2 minus 0, which is going to be 2, right? So from there, we know that there's nothing else we can do. So then what we have to do, now that we've completed this section right here, we're going to move to the next number, and we're going to bring that number down to get our next equation, which is 25, right? And so that's the initial problem, which is 4 divided by 25. However, when we look at the next example, I will show you why you don't want to just skip to the 25 because you may be missing a step. As you get more skilled, you will be able to skip over a few steps, but in the beginning steps, I just want you to understand the process thoroughly. So we asked the exact same question. How many times can 4 go into 25? And the answer is 6. So we put a 6 over the 5, right? Because we're doing 25, 0, again, there is no value. And then again, 25, we put the 6 because 4 can go in there 6 times. There are there are 6 groups of 4 in 25. So we complete the next step and we do 6 times 4, which is going to be 24. Then what we do is we minus and we get 1. So then your answer is, if we're looking for approximate answer, would be 6 remainder 1. Again, just a note, 0, 6, that's 6. This is equal to 6. Any 0 in front of a number is that number. Again, we just wrote the 0 here to show that there is absolutely nothing we can do with this 2 in this area right here. Sorry, we're getting a lot of lines here. But this is an approximate answer, and you may be asked, what is the remainder? This is going to be your answer, 6 remainder 1. However, if you'd like to get more exact, we're going to do the problem again, and we're going to look at adding additional zeros, so 25.00 to the end of it to get us a more exact answer. So if we look at the problem again, we're going to do 25 divided by 4, right? And so we're going to do the exact same process. I'm going to go a little bit faster and not write down everything just so we can save time. But can 4 go into 2? No, so 0. 0 times 4 is 0. We're going to do subtraction, bring down the 2. Now we're also going to bring down the 5 because there's nothing we can do with that 2. Now we're going to ask how many times can 4 go into 25? The answer is 6. So as of now, this looks the same. Now what we're going to do is 6 times 4, we have 24, just the exact same as we did last time. Now we have 1. So now if we want an exact answer, what we want to do is we want to add a decimal and we want to add the 0. We add the decimal because it shows us exactly where the decimal is going to go in the answer. So that's why I like to do it in this methodology with 4 divided by 25 this way, because again, you get to see exactly as we move from left to right, exactly what's happening. So we've added a decimal, 25.0, again, it's the exact same as 25, but we've added a decimal down here so that we know to add it up here. And so then what we do is we do the exact same thing and we bring, since we've added the 0, we bring it down here. And so now this becomes 10, right? So now we do the exact same thing because we're over the 0. How many times does 4 go into 10? And the answer is 2, okay? So we do the same thing. 2 times 4 is 8. 10 minus 8 equals 2. And if we want to keep going, we add another 0. Adding this another 0, again, it's going to give us the next place over. So now we bring down this 0 all the way down here. And now this becomes 20. So how many times can 4 go into 20? And the answer is 5. So we do 5 times 4, we get 20. There's absolutely nothing left. So we know that we're done with this problem. Therefore, we know that this answer, the exact answer, is 6.25. So if we want a non-exact answer, we have 6 remainder 1. And if we want an exact answer, we have 6.25. Now, if this answer is not a 0, and say this remaining number was of 3, then what we can do is we can add in another 0 if we wanted to, and we can keep going from left to right as many decimal places as the problem requires. So if you need, I don't know, 6 significant figures, for example, you can go over until you get the amount of numbers necessary to solve the problem and get the answer that you're looking for. Most places, or most answers, only require up to 2 decimal places, but again, it depends on the problem. So looking at another example, we're going to do another example, which will hopefully let you understand why we want to start as far left as we can versus just going to the second answer. So if we want to do 4 divided by 402, for example, then we'll do the exact same process. But in this one, 4 can actually go into 4. 4, in the last example that we had, there was a 2 there, so we put a 0 above the 2. But because 4 can go into 4, we can't put a 0 there because it's possible that 4 can go into 4. Well, how many times can 4 go into 4? 1 time. So what we do, the exact same methodology. 1 times 4, which gives us 4, and then the answer is 0. Now we bring down the 0, and we have 0. How many times can 4 go into 0? The answer is 0 times. So we do the same thing. 0 times 4 gives us 0. Now what we want to do is we bring down the 2 after we do subtraction, because the answer is still 0, right? So now we bring down the 2. Now the answer is, how many times can 4 go into 2? And the answer is 0, right? Just like in our previous example. So we can, now we do 0 times 4, and that is equal to 0, and that's 2. So if we want an approximate answer, we can have 100 remainder 2. If we want an exact answer, then all we have to do, like in the last problem, is 402.00, add in those additional decimal places. So if we do add in the additional decimal places, we're going to have 402 divided by 4. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump to the 100 area, and from there I'm going to add my 0. So at the 402, we have the 4 here, right? Bring down the 0. It was 0. Bring down the other 0. Now it was 2. Bring down this 0, because this is where we are right now. So now the answer is, how many times can 4 go into 20? And the answer is 5 times. So 5 times 4 equals 20. Now we have exactly 0, so we know that this is an exact answer of 100.5. If you want to check your work, again, multiplication, you can use the video that's in the link in the description. But what you want to do is you take your answer and you divide it, you multiply it by the divisor, so this number. So if this number multiplied by your divisor gets you to your answer, then that you know it's correct. So just to check our answer, you can have 100.5 times 4, 0, 2, 0 plus 2, write that, 2, 0, 4. So the answer is 402. So we know that 105.5 is the correct answer when you divide 402 by 4. I hope this helps. Please comment below if you have any questions. Thanks.